We finally got there. He's still having issues. I think you've, as always, welcome. Yeah, Wins Tech is knackered. You're absolutely right, Kev. PDK's been calling me Barry. I think it's catching. You have started something now. You know that, don't you? Well, anyway, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the Derek and Gary show. I suppose it is 2 p.m. It's not the breakfast show anymore. We've come on at 2 p.m. and we're going to have I don't know. I've watched a video and I've trimmed it, so we're going to be playing it soon. It's an interesting look. Oh, he's gone again. What's happening with Win? Yeah. He's like now he's in the sunshine.
I've decided to go on holiday.
Love it. Well, anyway, let's crack on with the show, and then we'll get on with what we've got to do. So the housework, as normal. Welcome to everybody watching across all platforms. Thanks to the mods working tirelessly in the background. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoy the show. It just helps us get further as a channel. Subscribe, it's totally free. Hit the bell for future content. 7 days a week, mainly live, but sometimes you can tell by us too, but mainly sometimes recorded. If you want to support the channel, you can become a member, small monthly fee, different levels to choose from, depending on what type of content you want to watch. But become a member, and that will give you a chance to win a prize at the end of each month. Don't forget to check out our webpage, NUFC talk.tv, for news and content. As it comes from a decent source, we will put it on there, totally ad-free, done for the love of the club. If you've got a question for me or Win during the show, put a Q, not guaranteed to mention, but if you want it guaranteed, then you can use the $sign, and as soon as it pops up, we will thank you. And we'll mention your chat. Again, anybody that becomes a member during the show, or any of our beautiful members that want to gift a membership, will also be highlighted and thanked as we go. So, welcome. Wins off to Milan already, says Geordie Dan. Mate, I'll tell you something now. That sunshine is bright on your forehead.
It's not off.
I'll tell you something now. It's beautiful, that. Is it snowing where you are, according to Two Kind of Phrase? No, I don't think it is. I just think Win's lights have gone a bit bright and his camera's struggling to pick him up. So I don't know what's happening there. Listen, it's a tech issue on Win's side. There ain't a lot we can do here. But we'll get through the show. I mean, look at that beautiful face.
As long as you can still hear me, that's the
main thing. Look at that beautiful face. I mean, what more can we ask for? How are you this Wednesday afternoon? Are we getting that
still
butterflies?
Basking, you getting that? In the victory. I'm trying to work out whether Liverpool getting eliminated last night
is good or bad.
Is good or bad, and that's an interesting topic. What do we think? Because I think it might be all right, you know.
Well, it'll be character now. It'll be. You know, don't get me wrong. You know, these guys are experienced enough. They've been involved in so many competitions towards the latter stages. They've not always made it. The league, the Premier League, if you think about it, is theirs to give away. Nobody else is going to compete with them if they do a job. But the biggest thing that I found, it's the mental effect that it'll have on them. You know, going out the way they did last night, especially at home as well, it hurts, going out on penalties. What it does do, I mean, obviously there was a couple of slight knocks.
Yeah, Alexander-Arnold, is he going to be available?
Is he going to be available? Well, to be fair, I hope he is, because I don't think, for me, that's an area that we can get down, and we can really get at them. So for me, I hope he is, because like I say, he's the one, and Canate, as you saw yesterday, his mistake led to the equaliser from PSG. So for me, it's one, the way I look at it now, it's how they react to the rest of the week. They're going to be tired, so today it's going to be off, but tomorrow they're going to come back and it's going to be, you know, get into the Wembley mentality, you know, and that's the character that I'm saying. And we saw that, you know, we were a bit deflated after we lost to Man U. But once we get back in the swing of things, it happens.
I think that's two schools of thought. One is that now they're definitely going to be after a double because the treble's gone.
Mm.
So they're going to be doubly up for it, if you like. Or they're going to be so... have you got a bit of an echo? Because I have.
No, but I don't hear myself
No,
at all
oh,
echoing. So
right. I have. Right. Whatever. Listen, I'm more of the belief that it's going to help us, not them. They are going to be well and truly deflated, and it's just not as easy as you might think. I don't believe to up your spirits again and get back on with the job.
no, exactly, and that's what I said. It's all about character now. It's how they, it's how they come out. But they've had the experience. So that's what I said. It's easier to recover having done it multiple times than it is for the likes of us who haven't really reached the the end product, and with these squad of players a lot of the time. So it'll hurt us more than it hurts the likes of Liverpool, but it is going to be a character thing. And like I say, for me, I do think that it'll take a lot out of them. But at the end of the day, I've got like I say, a video to play in a second about some of the topics that's obviously out there that me and you can discuss in today's chat. But for me, it was more the fact that if Newcastle bring their A game, on the day, we can compete with anybody. I'm not saying we can win everything, but we can compete with everybody. And like I say, in tomorrow's show or whatever, we're going to start obviously looking at the Liverpool more in depth. I've got some great slides of where Liverpool have struggled this season. And I've just seen Mason say he disagrees with me. Well, I've got some evidence to prove it, but I'm not going to do it today because it's a different show. We're going to do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the build up to the final, where we'll bring all the evidence to a degree, and like I say,
all the bells and whistles,
all the bells and whistles. So today's show, you brought it to our attention about obviously Man United getting the go ahead for the circus tent, the 100,000, and you like it.
I love it.
You were happy with what you saw.
But there again, I love Butlins, so I'm in Butlins Caribbean at the minute.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you look like you did skeggy. And for me, like when you look at the stadium, I don't know where I stand at the minute. Have we thrown all our emphasis on the move or potential move, or is it the fact that we have got multiple players, some in suits, some not in suits, vying with a change? Because whatever's happened, and again, we questioned whether it was Darren Eales saying that he wasn't well, because that seemed to have a real negative effect on the results. And since the speculation of the stadium, we had an upshift in results, and it was all vying well. Really good run of wins. But now it seems to have dipped again. Now again, people will say it's one eye on the cup, but I don't know. I have a feeling it could be a multiple of things at Newcastle. Again, it's about having that change, the opportunity to change the players and things like that. And it doesn't seem to have affected us in a way of being a real positive outfit at the moment. And like I say, I think you'll see a different Newcastle on Sunday. Fingers crossed, anyway.
But it was good to see Bruno come back to something like his best on Monday.
It was superb. And I mean,
45 minutes against, which again for me was pretty good against Bournemouth.
Yeah, I agree.
Brighton, I mean.
Well, this video I've clipped to like 5 minutes long, and it's Simon Jordan and Jim White having a chat about Newcastle, and there's a couple of points in here that I think me and you can have a chat on, and I also want to get the audience involved in their thoughts on this. Not there's two ways of looking at it, and like I say, I think this is a good pointer to get across. So we'll have a go. I'm hoping you can hear
that's
it.
playing. If it's going to be 5 minutes, I'll see if I can get my camera sorted.
All right, mate. Yeah, well, you can listen and
I
just
can do
play.
both.
Yeah. Well, ooh, you can do more. You can do two jobs at once.
I can
Crikey,
multitask.
yeah. Listen, I'll tell you something now. You're giving us men a bad name. Here we go. Listen, guys. I hope you can hear this because I've done everything I possibly can this end. So fingers crossed you hear it too.
As you might imagine, Simon,
Very low, Gary.
It's on 100%. So there ain't a lot I can do about that, my mate. You'll have to turn it up a touch.
Out in the fact that Manchester United are announcing that they are moving to a new state-of-the-art stadium, which is going to be built over the next 5 years, 100,000-seater stadium. Many of them saying, you're going to have Tottenham with a wonderful stadium in the south, but no team on the pitch that can win anything, and you're going to have a fabulous new stadium in the northeast and a team in the pitch which may be incapable of winning anything as well. We shall see, because winning on the pitch is all that really matters.
We've got some great elements that make me super excited, and
So I'm going to stop the video there because winning on the pitch, is all that matters. That's what he said, right? Now, obviously, he was talking about a stadium in the northwest, which is obviously Man U, with a poor team at the minute that aren't providing anything or producing anything, but a 100,000-seater stadium, right? And he also mentioned like the likes of Spurs, who have got this, all singing, all bells and whistles stadium, and again, not producing anything on the pitch. So for me, it's a case of, are they, when he looked at the northeast about having a team that's not producing on the pitch, are we as big clubs now putting more emphasis on the infrastructure to compete with the rest of the big boys, rather than putting the emphasis on the field of play, where results matter more to fans and for revenue to get us within touching distance of the big boys? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, we ain't going to get within touching distance of the big boys if we don't have a bigger stadium. Pure and simple. We've got to have more commercial revenue. That involves a bigger stadium with a lot more corporate, which wouldn't please a lot of people, because the more corporate you've got to... Oh, sorry, Barry.
Yeah. It's all right, Bob.
That's good. I'll come out and come back in.
All right, mate. Cool. Well, I could hear you. You're looking okay. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. Anyway, I'm just having a look on there. There is an echo. I don't know what's happening with Wynn's voice and video. His computer is just struggling at the minute. Geordie Dan saying it's all connected, and I agree with you. While we're waiting for Wynn, and obviously he can come back, let's just listen to what obviously was given to us regarding the future of the club and where we want to be from Mitchell.
Been drivers to my decision, the coach being one, and I think in 5 years I feel like we can be really challenged for important things and at an important level, and that's where we need to do. We have an ambition, and we need to now plot a strategy over time to get to that ambition. And like I say, not just get there and partake once every 5 years, get there and partake every year, and put Newcastle United on the global map, where everybody, our name, our brand is on the tip of everybody's tongue. That is kind of my big driver, is to really establish us in the global game, in the right way, from play development, young players, a dynamic philosophy of play, the women's game being at the forefront of that change and development in that aspect. These are all big.
Now, for me, we're 4 years down the line now. Now, obviously, the original plan was a 5-year plan, and we can all, it is very, very low. In my ears, I can hear it absolutely fine. I don't know why you guys are struggling to hear that, because I can hear it really loud. So again, apologies if you can't hear that, because I can hear it. And is there anybody else struggling to hear that? I can't hear a thing, says Sophie. Right, let's just see if I can reboot it and try it again, because for me, it is doing. I'll come out of there and I'll play in the background while I'm waiting for Win anyway, and see if I can get
Mitch is saying, Simon.
get it sorted. But like I say, that for me, it was more the fact that you've got the opportunities to see the development of the stadium, and the 4-year plan going into the 5th year is within touching distance. Have we grown as a club to be vying with the big boys? Now, for me, it's a case of you can see the infrastructure regarding the youth, and you can see the development of the women's team doing exactly what Paul Mitchell said he was going to do or try and achieve. That to me is perfect. It's exactly what we wanted. And again, you're looking at some of them young boys playing at a level of 16, 17 and 18-year-olds now playing in the under-21s. As we've said before, it's still as bad. But I mean,
Well,
it is.
right now, we've got Gaffer and the helmet on my computer, so
Right.
we couldn't hear the sport thing. I
You
don't know.
couldn't hear any of it.
No, it was just even I turned my system up to full, and then I tried watching it on the thing up to full, and it was
But you could hear it though, couldn't you? But it wasn't loud.
But I mean, barely. Even with me full system turned up full,
Right.
barely hear it at all.
Oh, right. I wonder why.
No idea.
That is crazy. Anyway, so I was going to say, I was going to cut a long story short there, and it went dead in my head. We were just talking about what was promised to us from Paul Mitchell about, obviously, in 5 years' time, getting to, somewhere where we are starting to compete. I think there's been a lot of issues regarding with the new ground. I think that's probably took a lot longer than originally thought, especially where I believe they're obviously looking at building this new ground, which is Leazy's Park. We all know the red tape that comes with that. We've spoken about that multiple times. But as a fan, if you look at where we are regarding a fan base, do you think that we've done enough within these 4 years? Obviously, we've not bought a first team player in 3 windows. So have we done enough as a club to compete with the big boys as we were promised by Mitchell back when he started or did his interview?
Well, I mean, Mitchell, if you're saying, have we done enough from the start? I think the answer to that is obviously yes. If you look how far we've come in 3 years, people just underestimate how far we have come. From relegation certainties to Champions League, then an injury decimated season put Peter to a bit, and so we've had it hasn't been perfect, but I tell you what, it's been pretty damn near perfect as far as I'm concerned. If you look at all our major incomings, they've all been a success, I would say.
Right.
You can argue Harvey Barnes, maybe it's Lloyd Kelly, out of the 2 major ones.
So you think that them two have been not so successful? Asula,
Well,
probably not as
I'm
successful
saying
as
they've done
expected.
that job. Sula is a project job, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we can't ask too much of the lad, can we?
You can't ask for a top 4 ready player for 16 grand with add-ons.
Yeah.
It's not realistic.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, like I say, I'm not expecting miracles from these guys at all. But what I wanted to see, what I haven't seen enough of, is and again, I don't blame the club. I blame everything around the club, away from the club, that stopped us to a degree, because it's not as if we haven't got the money. It's the biggest problem we've got is we've got really jealous owners from other clubs stopping us moving forward. And for me, it's a case of, we're talking about the stadium, as all the emphasis now, because of our restrictions for the team, have moved towards the stadium build now and focusing on that primarily, rather than obviously what us as fans are wanting to achieve.
There's no doubt that PSR and everything that goes along with it has handcuffed not only PIF but also Eddie, which is why Eddie's taken from me unnecessary, unwarranted criticism. The from day one, I mean, literally new regulations brought in specifically to stop us progressing and catching the big boys up. They don't like it, but they better get used to it, because by all accounts, there was an article in the Telegraph on Monday, I think it might have been, saying that the meeting at Close House that Al Ramayan had when he came over was all for any doubt at all that the PIF are not fully committed to ensuring that Newcastle United are a top club in 5 years and number 1 in 10 years, should be dismissed. That they've got every intention of doing that, and that's going their number 1 priority, which kind of sort of backs up what you're saying in terms of perhaps not enough investment on the pitch, although we know how we've been handcuffed because of PIF and because of FFP and PSR. Their maybe natural tendencies has been, right, well, let's turn to someone that we can spend our money on, because obviously infrastructure spend doesn't count. Let's turn our attention to that, so that whether they've been distracted into that, again, they could have been distracted because the team has been so successful on the pitch. Despite what a lot of fans would have you believe, we have been successful. If you look at where we should be punching in 9th, 8th, 9th, 10th. And we've consistently been a lot higher than that. We've got the 2 cup finals. We've been in the Champions League. I just think there's a lot of people expecting far too much, and I'm accused of accepting mediocrity, and I'm just a realist. I think that's what's there. Have there been mistakes made? Yes. There's been mistakes made by Eddie, certainly. Well, I'm saying, in my opinion, I would have done certain things differently to the way he's done things, and so that's fair enough. But do I know more than he does? Probably not. Even though I would like to think so.
Right. I mean, I can fully justify what you're saying, but Mag debates, he's saying, bloody hell, I agree with Win. And that's what I said. For me, it was more the fact that we're always going to struggle against the big boys unless we get a big stadium. Because I'm going to put a video on that I saw earlier on, and it goes hand in hand with what we're discussing now. And what Simon Jordan, like I say, I've tried to download it and redo it. So what we'll have to do is play it on the tube, but stop and start it, unfortunately, because of copyright issues. What I want to try and get across is there's very few people agree with what Simon Jordan said about Newcastle in the past, and he does waffle on. I tend to agree with a lot of what he says because he doesn't.
Listen, there's times when Simon Jordan talks a lot of sense.
Absolutely, but it's like everybody else. There's lots of times when he talks waffle.
A lot of the times that he talks absolute bollocks,
nonsense. Yeah, exactly.
Is when it concerns particularly Newcastle fans and Newcastle fans' expectations, delusions, and so on and so forth, and how Newcastle aren't a special club and all this nonsense. But a lot of what he talks about on the financial side, as you would expect, is pretty damn spot on.
Yeah. So, like I say, this goes on to obviously the Paul Mitchell chat, which is what we were talking about originally. Unfortunately, you guys couldn't hear it, so I'm hoping you can hear this. And then, like obviously from there, we'll go on. But like I say, we can stop and start it. It does spoil it because I'd clip most of this out, but unfortunately, when it downloaded, it obviously downloaded quite low. So apologies for that. So let's get on with this one. And this just goes on to obviously the promise that Paul Mitchell said. So I've gone back to where we were. Jim White was just discussing here. Obviously, the results on the pitch matter, and I think again you're talking about stadium compared to results, and we've gone past that now. But
we've
this
got
is
some
what
great
was
elements
promised.
that make me super excited and have been drivers to my decision, the coach being one. And I think in 5 years, I feel like we can be really challenged for important things and at an important level. And that's where we need to do. We have an ambition and we need to now plot a strategy over time to get to that ambition. And like I say, not just get there and partake once every 5 years, get there and partake every year and put Newcastle United on the global map where everybody, our name, our brand is on the tip of everybody's tongue. That is kind of my big driver, is to really establish us in the global game in the right way, from play development, young players, a dynamic philosophy of play, the women's game being at the forefront of that change and development in that aspect. These are all big.
So going on from what he's just said there then, yeah? Do you not think that what I was saying before, have we achieved what he said in 5 years?
I think he's talking about the next 5 years. He's only been here 6 months.
No, but obviously it was the 5-year plan, wasn't it?
No, I understood from the way he was talking there, obviously because he's talking when he comes in, he's saying within 5 years he expects us to be at the top.
Yeah, so
not in the past 5 years. He's talking about the next 5 years.
No, but if you remember when we first had the takeover, right? There was a lot of talk, and this is where a lot of fans got on the Simon Jordan back, because Simon Jordan obviously then was talking about the gatekeeper, and he still does, about Eddie Howe not being the man to take us to the promised land. But obviously from there, it was a case of there was a 5-year plan to get us within touching distance of being a top 4 club on a continual season and vying for Champions League and obviously cup competitions on a yearly basis rather than every, period type of thing as it's been in the past.
That's actually what we've done.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We are now moving ever closer, aren't we?
That's
fact.
2 finals in 3 years. How many clubs have done that?
That's what I'm saying. But do we not forget that as fans and criticise what we've achieved without the the infrastructure. And again, we're talking about this building, this stadium that's going to be built. It's going to take 2 or 3 years. It's not going to be up in a year. You're not going to get the benefits of a new stadium for 5 years.
It ain't going to be started, I don't believe, until 2028, because St James's Park has been examined and vetted and cleared and passed and been awarded the €28.
Yeah, but we can still start the back end, wherever if it is at where we expect it to be, by the side of the pond, which leads on to St James's, that can actually get three-quarters of the ground.
That can get underway,
Yeah, that can get 3/4 of the ground actually done. I say not completed, because obviously everything has to marry, but everything else could virtually be sorted, or at least cracking on with it. And you're right. I mean,
but I think the planning process alone is going to take, probably till 2028 anyway, unless there is positive government intervention.
Yeah. So you don't think there's any chance of us just having this clean sweep, getting on with it now because everybody's given us the green light? I still think there's going to be red tape.
Oh, I think there's absolutely going to be red tape.
You'll have people come because there's a like there about the newts. You'll have people come out the ground about bats being in the area and whatever. It'll take I think a new stadium will take us another 2 years at least before even a brick is laid.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. That is the problem for me, because it doesn't matter where you go to build a new stadium, unless obviously there's a lot of sweet talking going on. I think there could be, if it's away from the city centre, a bit more rural, you're still going to have the same issues. You're still going to get environmentalists come out there and see if there's a newt within 500 miles of you. You know what I mean? Before they do it.
Well, to be fair, I think the newt map is already drawn.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think they've already, the British Wildlife Fund of the British Wildlife Trust or whatever they're called, has all Council for Rural England.
Yeah.
Has already got all of those areas already identified.
Well, like I say, for me, it is interesting. But the next point, obviously, what Jim and he discuss and Simon discuss is interesting, because, like I say, it seems as if they've got. I do like going for a walk across the lakes. There's a lot of people out there that like the park. I know it sounds crazy, but when I was up there, I don't think I ever walked through the park once, because it wasn't the way I come to St James's Park. Anyway.
I have walked through Leazes Park literally once
with us,
and that was with you when Chris came, when I was showing you where the proposal was.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've never been in the place.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
And you can count on one hand the number of people that use it. I'm saying you can count on one hand. That's an exaggeration.
Yeah.
Compared to the number of people who visit St James's Park, it's minuscule. I know which of the two is the great heritage of Newcastle upon Tyne, and that's the point that should be argued.
Yeah. Right then, let's carry on with this vid and see what you think.
If somebody could say to me that I don't know, 50,000 people use St James's Park, Leazes Park, in a year for more than the 3 hours that 50,000 use it every week, at least once a week in Newcastle. It's in James's Park. That it's nonsense.
Because if I remember rightly,
for me, you've even got. I mean, we're on a whole issue here, and trust me, I could talk all day about this. Leazes Terrace has existed for 30 years out of the near on 200 years it's been in existence. Only 30 years of that has it not had St James's Park next door to it.
Yeah.
So, and if anybody is trying to tell me that Leazes Terrace is more important to the city of Newcastle upon Tyne than what St James's Park is, they're talking and not just to Newcastle itself, but to the whole region and what it means in terms of prestige for the region. Having a European club in terms of international renown and reputation. You know, how many people in the world have heard of Leazes Terrace as opposed to how many people in the world have heard of Leazes Park?
Yeah,
No,
I know.
you know, it to me, it beggars belief that we can't just knock that down and build the East Stand up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's just the Leazes Terrace. I think it's the houses and the gardens that literally come down the lane. I mean, because obviously it's that jutting out. I mean, if you look at the back of that, there is. I mean, that's what the architect says.
Yeah,
there
but
is no way you can develop it.
90% of them are just office buildings, man.
Yeah. I'm not disputing that. Yeah, I'm not disputing that. It was more the fact that even with the architect said you wouldn't be able to build anything there unless all of it was flattened, and that, you know, like I say, that nearly all of Leazes Terrace goes. So I don't know. I think, like I say, there'll be that many people saying no to that anyway.
I'd love to think Yano Wise, right? If there is a desire to get this done, it will be done no matter what the obstacles. And I think there is a desire for to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, Gary D here, look. The park is a real mess. A lot of drug users and the likes get out in there.
Well,
you know,
witness,
I'm going to say,
we walked through it once, and on the way were accosted by a druggie.
I mean, like I say, we didn't see him with any, you know, paraphernalia, but I mean, obviously you could tell by his demeanour he was looking for something else. So yeah, that was an interesting visit from our American friends, walking through there and getting that. But anyway, like I say, it's
apart from that, it's just people cutting through the park to get to the hospital, and that and that access will not be disturbed.
No, exactly. And like I say, the access there, I believe, to the side, which is on Leazes Terrace side, the park gate, that won't be disrupted either, I wouldn't have thought.
The Richardson Road entrance won't be disrupted, no.
So, you know, like I said, there's still going to be access to the park. And, you know, whether they move, that they will have to move the gate on Leazes Terrace, I would imagine, a bit further down, or maybe somewhere on, again, the other entrance on Barrack Road is there. So there's still going to be entrances towards the park if people want to still visit. But it's what happens to the St James's Park area, what it's on now, the footprint, what it's on now. Will we have to give that back to Greenland, Parkland, or can it be utilised for something different? And I think that's the other thing, isn't it?
Land somewhere else. Doesn't have to be in the same place.
No, it doesn't. I know that. It's, you know, you have to give them the same footprint plus 10% apparently by what you're told. So, like you say, that can be anywhere. But what I'm saying is, is that not a sweetener to say, well, all we're going to do is whatever part we take from there, we're going to put there?
Well, actually, no, because what I would like to see is, I love the stack. And for people who haven't got tickets for the match, I would love to see the stack. You know, the fan zone.
Yeah.
Being, you know, improved upon. Because it's great the way it is, but I mean, you know, basically it's porta cabins, and that could become a venue in its own right.
Yeah.
And a mini venue which could be utilised outside of football for loads of other things, you know, business conference, trade fairs, name it.
I mean, obviously, like the likes of hotels and things like that, which is what, you know, is going to bring the money in, especially for the travelling fans, things like that. If we can get stuff linked to the club, whatever money they make in these other facilities, you know, it's another way of getting the revenue builder, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. So here we go then with the rest of the interview.
I hear what Mitch is saying, Simon, but here's the thing. You can't be talking about the Europa Conference League, can you? What Newcastle have to focus on and only focus on is doing it in the Champions League, right?
Well, they can only eat what's on their plate, and ultimately, if they can't find themselves into the top 6 in a particular season, they'll take the European Conference League, because if they can win it, it's a European competition. Other people of significant names have won that competition. No, they want to be in the Europa League. They want to be in the Champions League.
So here's the next one then. As a fan, would you be happy just as a European slot? Like I say, in the Conference League, and I agree with him. At this present moment in time, we have to eat what's over on our plate. It's not a gimme at all. You look at all the teams around us. Everybody's fighting for that top 5, 4 guaranteed. 5th is still a question mark, but I mean, it seems as if 5th place is guaranteed at the minute. Are you happy with just conference? I am.
I think conference is a good consolation prize if we continue to be hampered by FFP the way we are being. What I'm saying is that's as much as it is reasonable to expect. You can't expect to be top 4, top 5 when you're not spending the money the top 4, top 5. Darren Neal said when he first came in, he said it on the Amazon documentary, Premier League points are directly correlated to salaries paid. And right now, in terms of salary, we are like 6th, 7th, 8th. It varies depending on when a new contract is signed and so on and so forth. But we're certainly anywhere near top 5 in terms of salaries paid. We're not in top 5 in terms of number of players in the first team squad.
Aaron's saying here, look, he wouldn't take Conference League. You need to aim higher. I'm not saying
higher by all means.
Absolutely. But like I said, with what we've got, I would, as a fan, without having to, having bought a player in the last 3 windows to fight for the first team place, I think if we finish Conference League, we've had an amazing year again.
Yeah,
be in Europe, twice in 3
and
years.
The cup final.
And to be fair, if it wasn't for us, Man U beating Man City, it would have been 3 years on the bounce.
That's right.
Because we would have been in the conference last year.
And we're in such a funny season this season, I mean, it's possible that there are certain variables where it's possible for the top 10
to get
into Europe this year.
Yeah, depending on who wins cups and things like that.
If English teams win the 3 European competitions, which it's diminished now severely, obviously, with Liverpool being eliminated. But were that to happen, if we win the Europa League and if we win the Conference League, then we're going to get more places depending upon where those teams finish. If Villa, for example, were to win the Europa and finish outside the top 8, then that gets another team into Europe. If Arsenal win the Champions League, that gets another team into Europe.
Yeah,
I mean, by the way, that then massively improves our coefficient for the following season, where the same thing can happen again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, for me, it's about, I think, as we speak, as a team at the minute, we have every chance. I mean, Dogwater's saying that Newcastle punching at the moment, I don't know whether that's punching above our weight or whether that's actually just punching
I'm reading
within
it
the
that
league.
way.
Yeah. And for me, I do agree with that. We are probably punching above our weight at the minute. But then you look at the like of Bournemouth, who I think are having an exceptional season.
Yeah.
The likes of Nottingham Forest, that are having an exceptional season. Would we, as fans, be happy to have a Leicester, a flash in the pan season where you go on and compete for 1 or 2 seasons and then fall off back into the mire, as you've seen now with the likes of Leicester? Or are we the type of fans to say, you know what, with everything that's going on, I'm happy for us to keep knocking at the door, may not be reaching the target that was promised at the start, but am I happy as a fan to be involved with a top 6 finish, potentially a cup final win? It's a shame we lost against Brighton because obviously we were on for the treble. But as you kept on saying, for me, with everything that's going on in the background, I think that is an achievement that I didn't expect. I thought we were going to be a top 10 club for a few years, not knocking on the door for Champions League, not knocking on the door for Europe, not getting involved in any cup competitions until potentially the 4th, maybe 5th year. So I was happy for us to sit in the background and, apply the pressure, keep us moving forward and getting the infrastructure correct, which seems to have really got the motivation and the correct way of thinking now regarding the youth and academy and the women's team. All we need to see now is that injection being put into the first team.
Well, I've actually got we'll be doing a show after the cup final, but it's a sneak preview for everybody who's watching here now. What's the best way to do
I'll tell you what. Let me just finish this video off because there ain't long.
Yeah.
There ain't long left, and then we'll do yours because, like I say, he does come up with some interesting things.
The difficulty for Newcastle is the deck stacked against them. If their ambitions are lofty and in short order, if Newcastle's got a turnover of £320 million, you've just heard that Man United that stink on the field right now have got a turnover of £650 million. Now, yes, that has enabled them to be enormously profligate and buy players that have wasted a lot of people's time and money. But in order to be successful, you do have to be able to spend. And
so, for me, that is an amazing point, isn't it? You've got to be able to spend. Now, we can spend. It's got nothing to do with the commercial side of it or what we're bringing in money-wise. It's who the owners are. I mean, the thing at the top of the screen there, owners with more money than God, And again, you look at it, it's got, again, nothing to do with the commercial side of it, nothing to do with the revenue coming in. This is what stinks for me, is where you get a consortium of people, clubs, all getting together and saying, let's stop them spending. Let's come up with an idea to just stop Newcastle from being bigger than me, because that's what it is, isn't it? It's protection.
That's all it is.
All I'm doing now is protecting my assets because, all of my superstars up in the top, big teams. I'm not going to say the top 6 anymore because they're all over the shop, some of them. But some of the big names in them teams, all of a sudden we can start throwing money towards them. Newcastle seems that the black and white shirt seems to be a little bit better than any other colour if you get them the same money. Thanks, Ian. Gifting a membership, buddy. And that's gone to Chris Milne. There you go. You've got an NTTV Plus membership, Chris. Welcome to the show, buddy. That'll give you access to absolutely everything. So if you want to go and have a look at our webpage, NUFCtalk.tv, you can have a look at all the past videos that are members-only videos and stuff like that. So welcome along. And if you could and you enjoy what you see and what you hear, then try and continue your membership going forward. But again, thanks for the gift, Ian. Superb. So for me, it's more the fact that you've got there's a lot that we've got to cater for, and there's a massive gap for us to actually try and march forward into to compete. And I think that to me is the big thing. How can we close that gap? If it's going to stay the way it is at the moment, which, like I said, there's nothing saying that it won't, because obviously the next season was where we're supposed to have seen a change. But that seems to have backfired on us a little bit now. So, again, it's a case of watch this space, isn't it?
We've got to start generating more revenue. Yeah, I mean, we are dwarfed by the so-called Big Six in terms of revenue generation. And the only way that happens is a bigger stadium and a lot more corporate than we currently have.
Yeah. But again, without cutting your nose off to spite your face type of thing, though, isn't it? Like you said, going for this 100,000 seater stadium, the same as Managerial, we couldn't achieve them numbers.
We couldn't get them numbers, nowhere near. I mean, I think 80,000. A lot of people say 80,000. Would fill it every week, no problem, man.
I think you would do if we continued the success, because I think you will get a lot more interest from afar, and as long as people know that there is availability regarding seats, I think you get fans that travel. I just don't think at the minute it's a doable thing, because, like I say, the amount of chances you get to get a ticket these days for a game, it's virtually impossible.
And
they're prohibited from that.
Sorry, mate.
Go on. I was just going to say that's why we're sold out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I said. I mean,
but Darren Neal said, didn't he? One empty seat in the stadium and the plan falls apart.
Yeah, but there's always an empty seat, mate, because even though people have got season tickets, they don't turn up to every game. So there's an empty seat somewhere.
But the club have got the
club. But they've got the
money.
Yeah. But all they haven't got is the voice singing.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like the club ain't bothered as long as the money's in the coffers.
Correct.
About you singing. I mean, for us as fans, we want the orchestra. We want all of the place going. But
we want the full live event.
Absolutely. But I do think that there's obviously an issue behind some of them seats becoming empty long term because of touting and things like that when they can't sell tickets because they're so overpriced now. It's ridiculous.
And so 320, it all depends what happens with the governance. If the governance of the game changes and that enables the investment into the team to be more significant without the restrictions of either a wage-related percentage of turnover or the current loss regime, I think it's very difficult for Newcastle to consistently keep working the oracle of producing a very enigmatic team that people enjoy watching with lots of passion because their fans are behind it, but actually getting themselves into the higher echelons of the league. Because when you're trying to compete with Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, eventually a Man United that get themselves together, there's 5 clubs that have got turnovers that are north of £500 million. I don't know how you bridge that gap.
So that is, what I said. How can we, even with the 70,000 seater stadium, which probably won't happen for another 4 or 5 years, bridge the gap short term?
Well, we've got to continue to do what we've been doing. We've got to find diamonds.
Got to find ways.
Got to find diamonds like Bruno and Isaac and Botman. For,
the unknowns.
Not coppers, but for, reasonable money.
Yeah. So, again, I go back to the original question. What's more important?
I mean, there's a case in point. You've got Villa there at the minute, and currently tipped to be their player of the season is Tielemans, who they got on a free, who we could have had.
Absolutely. And I would have had, at the drop of a hat, I'll tell you now, to come and support that midfield. Because, like I say, at this present moment in time, I do love Miley. But apart from Miley, who else is there that can vie for a place at this present moment in time?
Struggling.
So, again, you have got to try and pick up these sweet cherries off the tree when they're there, especially in a situation that we are in. So it's how we go forward from here. Like I said, what's more important, the stadium or the team? Even though there's going to be money put into both, I have no issues with that. But is the emphasis from the PIF now to get us closer to the promised land with revenue than it is interest in getting us the monies to go into the league and get players? And like I say, it's got nothing to do with money. We know that. It's got nothing to do with money. It's got everything to do with the shackles that are around us at the minute.
Yep.
You've got to try, if you get into the Champions League, of course, you get 30 million quid extra from doing that, and maybe 30, 40, 50 million quid of additional opportunities, because if you get through it and you've got gate receipts and commercial sponsorships and other things that you can monetize as a result of it, but you've still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
So I think it's difficult for them. I'd like to see them do it.
Yeah, well, I would like to see them do it, because I have a great affection for Newcastle United. If they beat Liverpool in the Carabao Cup on Sunday, they can secure a place in the Europa Conference League.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, if Eddie Howe fails to achieve Europe with 2 bites of the cherry, how much road will they have left?
So just before we go on to that final bit,
Ooh, that was just...
I know. That's what I said.
I don't know what he's going to say, so...
So there you go. So there's a little bit of we've already heard it. Like I said, even with the interview when he did it with Simon, did it with Eddie Howe. You know, he don't hold any punches when he's doing interviews. But you know, for me, it was more the fact that when you look at what he's just said there, you know, if we get into by winning the cup, we are guaranteed Europe, right? Does that mean you can relax in the league? That's what I was going to ask you. Do you still then say, again, looking at all these players,
sir.
you're looking at all these players, right? And you're saying, I can now give you a rest because it doesn't matter at all now about the results. I don't think that would fare well as a fan to other fans.
No, why on earth would you do that? You say, come on, we've got Europa now. That's guaranteed now. Come on, let's push on.
Or the curveball is, does that relax the pressure and allow us to play football again? Because I think at the minute they're playing with a lot of pressure on the shoulders. You can tell with the hurried passes, you can tell with the wrong choices of passes. You know, we don't seem to be smooth anymore in our operation. So, you know, for me, I think it's about pressure and the mental state of players at the minute, where it's like we keep saying, this is a must win because of where we are. You know what I mean?
In the Telegraph article, Al Ramayan said he sees Eddie Howe as being the Alex Ferguson of Newcastle United. He said, no, of course he's going to say that anyway. He's not going to turn around and say, no, if Eddie doesn't get Europe, he's finished in the summer. But I personally think if he doesn't get Europe, maybe he has taken us as far as you can go. For all he's had his hands tied behind his back. He has made some dodgy decisions. I trust Eddie. I think Eddie will get us there.
Well, name me a coach that hasn't made mistakes.
Well,
there isn't any.
There isn't. Somebody who hasn't made a mistake. I'll show you somebody who
hasn't tried. Yeah, exactly. Sophie B has literally just took the words out of my mouth. For me, you know, I still look for second, because the higher you are in the Premier League, the more revenue it brings in. So you're absolutely spot on, Sophie. That is exactly what I was going to say. But all I'm saying to you is...
And we won't get a group of death this time in the Champions League.
Exactly. No, but that's what I'm saying. For me, and I don't mean this disrespectful, because obviously when you said, Sophie, you can't relax. You don't have to relax. I don't mean it in that way. What it does is take that mentality away of, we can now play our football because Europe is there. We've achieved Europe. So then you go out there and you play football.
Play with freedom.
With freedom. Without that pressure of this must-win attitude. Because that in itself creates yourself a lot of problems. So let's just finish on, because like I say, this is the last little bit. And then
what time do you need to be away, by the way?
Another 10 minutes. So we'll go.
I think you have to judge Eddie. I've always said, and I don't make any apology for it, and I said it to him when I spoke to him, and I don't make any apology for it, is I always felt that he's a gatekeeper. And then you've got such luminaries as Pardew that took exception to that because he doesn't understand what I mean. Ultimately, what I mean is it's very unlikely that the ambition, the lofty ambition of the Saudis that didn't buy Newcastle so they could win the League Cup, they bought Newcastle so they could win the Premier League and win the Champions League, and they'll take the League Cup in the meantime because it means so much to the fans. But my perception was that always Eddie might be a very valuable and deserving rewarded perspective of achieving something for Newcastle, which is getting a good side, getting a team that's really competitive in the Premier League that people actually like to watch. But is he going to win something for Newcastle? Maybe he'll win the League Cup on the weekend. But I don't see Newcastle, not because of Eddie Howe, but because of the restrictions that are put upon their ability to be able to spend, that mean that Eddie might well be a casualty in 18 months' time, knocking on the door of the FA's building to take over from Thomas Tuchel.
But what's some new guy in place?
So, for me, I think that speaks volumes, doesn't it? I mean, we've gone from a guy who was, he felt quite anti-Eddie, to a guy who's respected him to achieve what he's done with a team that's competing and really going for it. A team that people like to watch. Not so much the last few, not so much this season. It seems to have dropped off a peg or two with the excitement, but it's certainly drawn in the crowd. It's certainly drawn in with Eddie Howe's team, the coaching staff. It certainly has drawn in the viewers. Like I say, it's a sellout every game. We always take a crowd away. The noise is outstanding away from home, so it's buoyant. Where we've been, and I keep saying where we've been because you have to say that, to where we are now is twofold. With a new stadium, I think that puts us on a crest of a wave to continue growing. Whether it's with Eddie, I don't know. And I have a feeling.
I'll tell you one thing Eddie has done. Simon Jordan is still unapologetic for saying he considers him to be a gatekeeper. But what Eddie has done in the 3 years is change his mind insofar as he was saying 3 years ago, Eddie wouldn't last past this summer. He wouldn't last past such a...
That's what I said. He put a bad taste in a lot of fans' mouths.
And Eddie has definitely changed his mind in that regard. That he's now saying, he's acknowledging fully what a fantastic job he's done, and it's up to him then whether he can. I think quite rightly he's saying that PIF didn't put the investment into Newcastle to win League Cups. They want to be challenging for the Premier League and for the Champions League, and I think that's absolutely right. But I've still got every faith that Eddie will be the guy to do that. He's got to start learning, as everybody has in every walk of life. But
I do think with everything that we've talked about and everything that we've seen and all the the what you've read in the papers over the Chronicle and everything else, with Man U now going down this road of 100,000 because they realise even though they're making £650 million revenue, 300 million more than Newcastle are. Unless we light that switch, these teams that are already in front of us will just continue to trot in front of us at a canter because there is no way.
The gap will widen.
Yeah, there is no way we'll be able to compete across all levels under the current scrutiny. So, again, what's more important? Well, obviously now, for us to be future-proof, the stadium's more important because that is the only way we're going to close this gap. Is that not something that you agree with, or is it something that you understand?
It's absolutely something that I agree with.
And I think that's why I said sometimes we have to be a bit patient, don't we, as fans, to find out what's going on.
Isn't that a very rare commodity in?
Yeah,
finance?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because like has been said,
as old as me, I think, for to have that patience instead of being like Tiger and Roy and
wanting it all now,
wanting the jam now. It's whilst we are under the restrictions we're under, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll tell you one thing the club have done in preparation for Sunday.
What's that?
And that's they've given away 32,000 commemorative scarves.
Scarves, yeah, I'd seen that.
There's going to be a commemorative scarf on every seat at Wembley for the Newcastle fans. And as was so waggily mentioned in the mag when they did an article on this, They said, that's assuming somebody doesn't get to your seat first and nab it to sell at a later date.
Yeah, yeah. Who's sponsoring the scarves? Do you know?
Seller.
It is Stella.
Seller.
Yeah.
Seller are paying for them, man.
Yeah, I did read it, and I was trying to think who was there. I couldn't remember who
And
it
they've
was that
done
were
it
doing it.
in collaboration with War Flags. So it's War Flags that'll be putting them on all the seats.
Putting them on all the seats. Yeah, yeah.
Along with their own flags. So
that's a brilliant touch,
so
though, isn't
we
it?
are being treated to yet another brilliant War Flags display at Wembley.
At Wembley,
They've sorted
yeah.
out the permission with Wembley Stadium authorities again, and we're going to be treated to another spectacle.
Indeed. I mean, to be fair, that you know, it is what it is at the minute, and we, like I say, we have got to keep the faith. We have got to keep on this journey of being restricted on doing what we are capable of doing. It's got nothing to do with the club. It's got nothing to do with Eddie Howe. What Eddie Howe has to do now, and you've hit it on the head before, was, utilise the squad better, I think. Try and stop this, switching around. Play what you've got, and if they are suspended and if they are, injured, then you keep going. We shouldn't have, again, this defeatist attitude on, because we have got players out, we've lost. We've lost before we've even kicked a ball. So for me, it's a case of, Eddie's got to pull his socks up, deal with what he's got to deal with, and then from there, hopefully, we go forth.
Maybe take an extra little chance or two here and there.
Well, that's what I said. For me, the way you set the team
it's
up.
easy for us to say, you see, when it's not our job that's on the line.
But I think he goes too
well,
restrictive.
So
you know
do
what I mean?
So do I. Yeah,
it's the mentality of being too defensive. I don't want to give. And again, I think this goes back to last season. When we looked at the amount of games we lost for one ball over the top, where for us to go and concede, and we've done it a couple of times this season, not so many, but last season was twofold. And I think Eddie's changed the system this season, but again, we've been a bit too regimented for me, a bit too strict on releasing bodies forward. So fingers crossed. Let's pray, we can do this on Sunday. And you guys on tonight? Are you having, because you're away?
Yeah.
You usually have a night off, don't you, on Wednesday?
Oh, it's well. No, of course, I'm quizzing the night, man.
You're quizzing, aren't you? So again, I don't know whether Chris is going to be doing something. Extra time will be on at midnight-ish.
Midnight, yeah.
If any of the night owls are up. Thanks, Ian, for your obviously kind membership giveaway, and welcome along to whoever got it. I can't remember. We will be back tomorrow doing the build-up.
I just did highlight one little comment.
Go on, then.
Before the only one I was Lee Macron. We are less than the sum of our parts this season. That much is certain. You see, I disagree with that. I don't think we are less than the sum of our parts. I think where we are now is just about the sum of our parts.
Yeah, but again, it's all about expectations, mate, isn't it? Yeah. And that's what I said. I think finishing fourth, everybody expects that to be a yearly thing, and it doesn't happen. There's lots of teams that have spent, well, look at Man City in January, £180 million, just to keep on track with Champions League positions. Yeah. I would have loved half of that to spend, never mind 180.
Indeed. And we just bought one decent right winger.
Oh, absolutely. What a difference it would have made.
Back with a bit of
yeah. Massive difference. Yeah. Okay, listen, I've got to go, buddy. So thanks so much to everybody in the show.
Thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks to Chris
Keep
for obviously sorting everything out for us. So probably won't be anything tonight, but we will be back tomorrow with the run-in, the build-up to all the Liverpool bits and bobs, and we'll go from there.
And it's goodbye missus, from him.
I'm not going to tell you what's going on in front of me. Just stop. I do apologise, but like I say, when the wife's at home. Anyway,
is she multitasking?
She's doing something, and I'm not going to tell you what. And dancing at the parade show, I think, is what the word's called.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, That's for another show.
Is she
On my own, that is. That's a private show.
Is she blowing wind up your skirt?
Yeah, she's not blowing any wind up my frock. No,
Up
you're
your
right.
frock, that was it.
Yeah, that's the
I
one.
loved it.
I'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow
Away
then,
the
buddy.
lads.
The lassies and the bands. Take care, all. See you
Ta-ra.
tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.